Welcome to Mouthfuls of Madness.
Alright, this is like episode 19. And we got a super special guest joining me today in the beautiful Moanalua Gardens. And we have Mrs. Olena Heu.
Yes, that's right. I used to be Olena Rubin, and then I got married.
Yeah, I have a really hard time, like, no matter who I'm talking to, no matter their status, marital or otherwise, I always tend to say Miss for some reason.
Good.
So
You can't go wrong with that.
But then it's like you get those people that are like, I'm a Mrs., okay? Like, respect my marriage. And you're like, all right.
Well, I
sorry.
guess the easy way is to say Ms., but that does sound a little older.
Yeah, or ma'am.
Yeah, ooh, don't ma'am. Don't ma'am or
can't,
auntie.
Yeah, you can't start a conversation like ma'am Hugh. That doesn't work. But so, we'll
Your
just get a
Highness
little.
works. I'm just kidding.
I'm with the Royal Highness. So for the listeners that don't know who you are, will you tell you a little about yourself?
Sure. In my former life, I was Miss Hawaii, the one that goes to Miss America, because there's a couple of pageants out there.
Yeah.
I was a former news anchor at KHON2. I was the Wake Up Today morning anchor, and I worked at KHON for almost 10 years.
Oh, nice.
And then I guess now I am an entrepreneur. I'm a writer. I'm an avid water baby, always in the ocean or in a waterfall. And I created, produce, host, and curate my own TV show called The Best Hawaii. And it's on Hawaiian Telecom, Hawaiian Airlines, and it's also online.
Very cool. So, you've had a crazy kind of life journey. I had some questions. I usually don't do this, so.
Oh, I'm honored.
This is special. I actually did like some research, like asked some questions. So this is kind of a silly dad one, but
Yes.
like doing the Best Hawaii. Have you gone to the Olena restaurant?
I have. That's actually funny because I had lunch with a friend of mine prior to coming to meeting you today, and she suggested that we go to Olena to eat. And she said, "You haven't been there yet." And I was like, "No, actually I have, and it was good." But I didn't feature them on The Best Hawaii. I started that a year ago in June, and I have a new episode that comes out every week, but I try not to feature food every single time.
Yeah.
It's about culture, cuisine, and crafts of Hawaii.
Oh, that's cool.
But yes, I've met them. I met the chef and his wife. And
Was there any silly jokes?
the wife kept using my name a lot. So, Olena, what can I get you, Olena? What would you like to order, Olena?
Was it like in the back of her mind, like branding?
I'm not too sure. And then she told the chef, right, the owner,
Yeah.
like, this is Olena. And then he didn't really have very much of a reaction.
He was like, nice.
Yeah, he just was like, okay, and didn't really seem to care that much.
So, if you could be any food dish from any culture,
Whoa.
what would you be and why?
I would be a molten chocolate lava cake. Because I'm sweet and ooze with a lot of interesting things and enthusiasm. You crave it.
I would have said personality oozing, maybe not interesting things. That sounds...
I don't know. That was the first thing that came to my mind, and I find that that's usually the best answer.
Oh.
Just whatever.
Looking through your blog and all this stuff, you've done a lot of cool things, and it seems you have a lot to be proud of in what you did. And is there any moments that maybe you're not proud of that you've done, or maybe something that has instilled a fear in you or doubt in what you were doing? And if so, like, how did you overcome that?
Just generally in life, or like professionally?
Either one. Yeah, professionally, like maybe you made some decisions that weren't so great, and maybe not regret them because they make who you are.
Right. Of course, everything's a learning experience. Well, so in 2014, when I quit my job as a news anchor on KHON, I decided to start my own business. So I had studied speech and communication for my bachelor's and communication for my master's, and I wrote a thesis about social media. So I parlayed myself into the business of doing social media for other people.
Yeah.
And I didn't study business. Some people thought I had an MBA, but I didn't. I just had an MA. But when I started my business, I had some pretty big clients, like right off the bat, Kuloa Ranch, Hilton Hawaiian Village. And then there was this one client that's a restaurant, and something major happened, and it was all over the news. And then I was using social media to kind of tackle the inconsistencies in the reporting that was happening.
Yeah.
And the owner and the chef and everybody got upset and told me to stop posting. And then I took it personally. And then we ended up like meeting, and then I wanted them to decide what they wanted to do, and then they never got back to me, and then we just broke up, you know. But when I look back on that, I do feel embarrassed in the way that I handled that situation, and maybe, you know, I should have tried to cooperate more with what the chef and the owner wanted. And so I felt really young, and like I didn't know what I was doing, and I just was reacting with emotion. And so I think a lot of times that's what we do, especially if you're not that experienced. So when I look back, I feel like, oh, you know, I kind of regret how that particular relationship ended. And now as a result, like I'm not friends with the chef anymore, and it's kind of awkward, you know, with that particular client. And I think the people that had worked there too. But in the end, they never really like ended it. Like they just stopped responding. So
you got ghosted.
So it was just really weird.
Kind of awkward.
But now, you know, I've been running my own business for 5 years now, and so I've learned a lot, and it happens. Clients come and go, and it's just weird.
That is, we've talked about that on the show before, but it's like one of my pet peeves is the ghosting.
Just in general. At least communicate, like if you're not interested or it's not working. Or just... In
my line of work, we've had a lot of hires and people interested in working, and then they just don't show up for the interview, or they show up for the interview, fill out paperwork, and don't come in. And you're like, we're all adults here. Just tell me what you want so we don't have to, you know, like I'm not waiting around.
When I think with the unemployment rate so low, I hear that all the time from employers that they just can't get workers to even show up for work, right?
It's bad. It's real bad. And it's bad all over. And then we have some microcosm of the place I work at. It's hard to see outside of that, but you hear from other companies and other kitchens and stuff like that that are like, no, it's bad here too. And it's just so weird that like working in this town, especially because I'm from the mainland, literally the most ghosting and non-showing up and quitting that in my entire career of being in the kitchen has happened here, and it's insane. I kind of hate
to say it, but I kind of feel like it's also a Honolulu thing because I'm from Kauai originally, and I remember when I first moved here, and people would always say like, oh yeah, let's get together, or let's have lunch, and I'm thinking, oh okay, like. But then I realized, oh, they just say that. They don't really mean it.
That's another pet peeve. It's like I'm the type of person, I get in trouble for this a lot, but I don't say anything just based on like trying to please another person in that way. So when somebody's like, oh, do this and let's try this, I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want it. And then like, oh, well, why don't you just do it? I'm like, I'm being honest with you. Wouldn't you rather me, like, I'm not going to fake it just because it's the right thing to do. Like, I don't feel I feel that if me telling you how I feel is better than me, like, faking how I feel, and then you're like, oh, this person likes me. I'm like, I don't really, but, you know.
Oh, that's a whole long topic we could go on and on about.
Next episode. When you travel, because you travel a lot, in your mind, when you're going to a new place, is your focus on eating the culture or finding things to do that revolve around that place's culture first? Even though you do both, I'm sure, but like, what's the predominant?
I think the food. You know, because you kind of plan out like, okay, here's what I gotta try, here's what I gotta eat. You know, you're going to Singapore, You got to try the hawkers. You got to have the
Yeah.
soups. But it is 50-50 in terms of going and seeing things and experiencing things. But food is definitely a big part of my happiness.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I totally agree with that. I'm definitely all about the food.
Yes.
So when you go to, is it hard now doing the show and being a blogger? Like, do you tend to think of your trips in that way and try, like, is it harder for you to, like, just let go and enjoy what you're doing? Or do you feel like you're like, oh, I gotta take this picture and I gotta eat this and make sure, like, people know about it?
No, I mean, I like to document things, and I like to take a picture or take a video just in case it's the best carne asada I've ever had in my life or whatever. But I can detach. My husband's actually pretty anti-social media.
Oh, right on.
So he's not a big fan of me telling him to take pictures of me and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that definitely puts some restraint.
Yeah.
But usually my goals are to have the best of whatever that region is, and I try to get things that we can't get here.
Yeah.
So like I went to Cuba in May.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
before the ban, the travel ban. And, you know, of course they were having mojitos and cubanos, but cubanos aren't even from Cuba actually.
Yeah.
Kind of like meat Jun. But, you know, I just try to like immerse myself in whatever is from the region. And so I never really go in with the intent that I'm going to blog about it. I go in with I hope this is the best meal I've ever had. And then I'll document it a little. And then if it turns out it is the best meal I've ever had, then I'm definitely going to blog about it.
All right. That's good.
Or it's like, oh, I have to come back here.
Yeah. I've been noticing, like, I've been trying to get more social media presence for the podcast. And it does, like, some days I'm like, man, I just, like, this is a lot of stuff to do to, like, you know, be present in social media nowadays.
Yeah.
It's
It's all about consistency.
Yeah.
Which is time consuming.
Yeah. So I try to stick by the, like, I've been off this last week, kind of on a staycation with the family. It was fall break for the kids, so we took the time off, and we were going to go on a trip, but ended up not. So we just stayed home, did home stuff and things. And so I took the advantage of that, of like, every time we ate, I did a little post or whatever. And so, but I try to stick to the, like, one post a day.
Yeah,
just to kind of keep it, like, in everybody's mind, you know. But it is definitely like a second job trying to.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong page. All right. Do you have any foods that you can't live without, and any foods that you can't stand?
Yes. I'm addicted to sugar.
Just all sugar.
Yeah. Like I have to have something sweet after every meal. So I try to supplement that now with, like, dried fruit.
Oh, that's good.
But then I used to have a secret stash of, like, gummy bears in my purse, or it's kind of bad. But.
All right.
And one thing that I hate is onions.
Really?
I hate onions. Green onions, white onions.
Oh, that's hard
yellow
living
onions,
here.
Purple onions. Yep.
There's green onions on everything.
I mean, I won't like refuse to eat it. I'll pick them off.
Oh.
You know, like fried rice is going to be exceptionally challenging.
Yeah.
But I've gotten used to it.
My wife's kind of the same way with, like, raw onion. She's okay with, like, grilled or, like, really, like, cooked down caramelized onions.
Yeah.
But raw onions, like, she'll even do, like pico on the side so she can, like, pick through the salsa so she doesn't have to work.
And I have tons of chef friends, and they cannot believe it when I tell them I hate onions. They're like, what?
Yeah. I mean, in the chef world, like, even from my perspective, it's like onions are almost, it's like in there with salt and pepper. Like, it's like onion, salt, pepper, garlic. Like, those are going to be in everything.
Yes.
You know? Like,
one of our good friends, Isaac Bangkako, who's the executive chef at Anda's on Maui, he was in this chef battle, and his secret ingredient was onion. And he made this really delicious malasada with like a sour cream and onion kind of tasting dust on it. And I was like, you know what? The one thing I hate in this world is onion, but I liked your malasada. And then he was like, oh my gosh, he was all stressed. But yeah.
well, yeah, onions. I could see that. I love onions. I mean, I'm more partial to cooked onions. Like, I'm not just like, oh, eat a raw onion.
Right.
But my thing used to be, well, it still is actually, is peas.
Like green peas?
Yeah. It's the same thing where I'm not going to, like, not eat them if they're in there. I guess it's a little different. I won't pick them out.
Oh.
But, like, I'm not going to order something that's pea heavy. And I don't choose to cook with peas a lot just because for me it's more of, I don't like the taste too much and the texture. But like sugar snap peas and snow peas are fine. It's just those like green peas.
Gotcha.
I'm just not a fan. But yeah. I feel the same way maybe on
Kind of shuddering thinking about it.
It's just the pop and the smush and that flavor.
So it's a texture thing.
Yeah,
And
it's all of both. Yeah, it's just all around not great for me.
I don't like the flavor of onion, and I don't like the after effects of the breath.
Yeah.
And I get like a overly, like my senses are like.
It just permeates everything.
Yeah.
It's in your nose. It's in your.
Yes, and I usually finish a dish, and then I have my last bite, and then guess what? There was an onion in there. And then it just like affects the whole.
And now you gotta have some chocolate lava cake.
Yeah, yep. Then I gotta have the sweet to cleanse the palate.
If you could have the power to teleport to any destination, where would you choose? What's the first place?
Teleport. Thailand. Yeah,
Have
I
you
love
been?
Thailand. Yep. My husband and I trekked there for 3 weeks during our 7th wedding anniversary. We went from Bangkok to Krabi.
Now, when you say trek, do you mean like you slapped on a backpack and like walked a lot?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. We started in Bangkok, and then we were in Kanchanaburi and Ayutthaya and Chiang Mai, and so we would drive to those locations, but then we would trek in the mountains. And then stay overnight at like
That's
a camp.
cool.
And yeah, we love Thailand and never got tired of eating Thai food.
Yeah, I haven't had Thai food in a while, but it is super good. My favorite, I don't like mixing things.
Oh,
Certain things are okay, like rice and beans at a Mexican place, I'll mix them. But like even if we go to like a buffet, I tend to do the wheel of food where it's like a pile and I don't smush them all together.
yeah.
But
And
Thai food is the one exception.
Yep, because you can put curry on noodles and
I love mixing like yellow curry and pad thai together.
Yeah.
It's super good. That's my favorite. Just
So
like
good.
mush it all into one. Like especially when you get it to go and it's in a little soup container and you just gonna dump some pad thai into that.
Yep.
It's delicious.
What's your favorite Thai curry?
Hey, yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
For me, like I love spicy food, but I don't like when it's overly spicy to where you can't taste anything. And sometimes I just enjoy like those flavors uninhibited by spice. And for me, like yellow curry is that for me, that I don't need it to be spicy because I just like there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
That like if it was spicy it would just be like you know. But I've actually been on a spicy kick lately. You know the Korean spicy noodles?
Yep. Oh.
They did the spicy
did
noodle
you do
challenge.
The challenge?
Yeah, so and then just became addicted to them.
Gotcha.
Like almost an unhealthy addiction to where like I had to hide them in the house so that I don't eat them.
Don't you think that like affects your intestines though?
Probably. That's another. Plus, there's like so much sodium in them.
Yeah,
They're not the healthiest thing.
I don't like that kind of hot, spicy.
Well, that's the thing is that it's actually ridiculously flavorful.
Oh.
Like it's not
how do you
just
taste
hot
it?
for the. Well,
it's
I mean, you
so
gotta like
hot.
hot food. But that's what I mean. Like it's you know I have the thing where there's the Asian spice and then there's like the Hispanic spice. They're like two different things where an Asian spice tends to hit you right away and then dissipates.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it does. It's like it's super, super spicy, and you get all those flavors, but then afterwards it just kind of goes away. It doesn't linger as long as like eating like hot salsa, where you're just like, oh my god, it's still burning. But
That's funny.
well, my wife just got these things.
I think I might have seen that on your Instagram.
With the new
Something
one
about the noodles.
Well, the new thing is my wife, because I always tell her like I would eat them more also if they were easier, because I hate having to like you got to boil them. And then you got to drain them, and then you got to saute them. It's nothing I want to do after work when you just got home from cooking all day is make something for myself like that. I just want to kind of eat something out of the fridge and, you know. But they came out with this new product where it's basically like a sauce pouch. of the spicy noodles, so you can have your own noodles and just pour this over it. And it almost looks like the Chef Boyardee sauce with like the little meat pieces in it. And so you just cook your own pasta, which we usually have in the fridge, you know, because we make extra for the kids and stuff. So you just kind of take that out, pour it over, and then you got your spicy noodles. It doesn't taste exactly the same, but it's close enough. So it's,
Cool.
But it's pretty good.
Intriguing.
I also did the peanut challenge. It's these things you buy online as the Carolina Reaper peanuts. It's the hottest peanut in the world.
Oh.
So each peanut is there's 5 levels, and each peanut has the Carolina Reaper plus another hot chili mixed in, and they're just like dusted, and it's ridiculous, and it was bad. It hurts in the mouth, but it was worse in the stomach.
Yeah.
It was very like, this isn't right.
Do you drink milk afterwards? And all
Well,
that?
in the rules of the challenge, you had to chew them for 15 seconds, and then you had to wait 60 seconds before moving on to the next level. And then when you do the last level, you had to wait 5 minutes. So in all that time, you can't eat anything, you can't drink anything, and you just kind of have
That
to...
is an awful challenge.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb, but I'm not that bright.
I'm glad that you're experiencing these things.
Yeah, you can
Not
check
me.
it out. You watch the video, watch me cry
Okay.
and lose my cool. So traveling and eating locally, like, what's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
I had whale in Japan. I'm sorry. I love animals and mammals. But yes, I was Miss Hawaii at the time, and I had eaten some not super weird things, maybe like rabbit and I don't know. But my travel companion was like, "Oh, do you want to try?" And I was like, "Okay." So we went, and it was a restaurant that specialized in it.
Yeah.
And it was just like more of a meatier ahi. It was red and looked just like tuna, you know.
Did it have a lot of, like, do they keep a lot of, like, a layer of fat on that, or they try to take
It
most
was
of that
sashimi
off?
style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did it taste like?
Just
Just
like ahi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it, like, greasier, though? Like, oily?
I just remember it being a little bit more like bloody.
Wow.
Yeah, that's definitely the weirdest thing. And then when we were in Thailand, they were selling, I think it was like barbecue rat on the side of the road, and they were huge. But we didn't eat them. I just took pictures
Yeah.
of the rat. And people after work would stop by and pick up their barbecue rat and take it home and eat it.
I would try rat. I mean, there's, like, down south and other places, like, Nutria is a big thing.
Yeah.
Those are basically giant rats. But, I
Crazy.
mean, it's an airplane going over. It's okay. That'll come out in post. That's Melissa 808 in the background. She's the one that screamed onion earlier. Growing up, what was... Oh. Yeah, we're sitting under a really big, beautiful tree. It's,
I'm good.
Oh.
I'm just standing.
now you're asserting dominance over me. So growing up, what was your predominant, like, comfort food? And do you still kind of turn to that when you're feeling blue?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a treat when my mom would make breakfast for dinner.
Oh.
I was raised by a single parent mom. And
Me too.
Yeah. And she was from Brooklyn, New York. So she was a Jewish Howley mom with this
Wow.
like brown girl on Kauai, right?
That's crazy. My
But-
dad's side of the family is Jewish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so for some reason, I don't know how she came up with it, but it was white rice with furikake on top, crispy bacon, and eggs. And that was like
Sounds delicious.
the most amazing thing ever. And I still love it to this day. It's super simple.
Yeah.
Nothing, special.
It was more the feeling behind it.
Yeah, and obviously local people, we like our rice and Portuguese sausage and eggs and stuff. But It was just, like the gummy chewiness of the rice, and then the saltiness from the furikake, and then the crispy salty bacon. And I really like eggs. I like scrambled eggs. I only recently started eating like sunny side up eggs or poached eggs, maybe in the past 10 years or so. But when I was a kid,
When I thought about starting a podcast, I thought about where would I host it, who would listen to it, and what was the easiest way to get started doing that. And I found out that Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
only like scrambled eggs. So yeah, that was it. And then I don't know if you are familiar with like Jewish cooking, but there's a thing called lakshen kogel, which is like a noodle dish with apple and cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah.
So that
we just call it noodle kugel.
Yeah. Yep. So that was one of those things that I loved growing up as well.
That's definitely one of those things that people who've never had it and you show them or talk to them about it are like, ugh. Because you're like, what? It's like sweet noodles.
Yeah.
Like egg noodles,
and
you
then
know,
the way that it was like cooked would make kind of like a bread pudding almost.
Yeah,
like it's like that dense.
Jewish bread pudding.
Yep.
So what do you kind of take the leftover egg noodles from making chicken noodle soup with your matzo balls and make a side dish out of it? I mean a dessert, sorry. My dad tried to... The first dish I remember my dad making when I was probably like 4 or 5, he tried to pass it off as a Jewish dish, but it was just because his mom made it for him. But it was basically scrambled eggs in like an omelet form. Okay. And he would sugar them. And I was like, nah, I'm not buying it. I was like, it was not pleasant.
Well, there's the eggs in sushi. That's mixed with sugar.
Yeah, but I think it's like it's like the sugar shoyu kind of. This was just straight up like eggs with like white sugar dusted on top.
Oh, I remember one time we didn't have pasta sauce and my mom made pasta, so she put ketchup on it. That was awful.
That sounds not so great.
That was absolutely the worst.
I did top ramen noodles with pasta sauce once.
Oh.
It's probably the same. It's just like the opposite.
Yeah.
It was like the noodles don't go with pasta sauce for sure. So, in reading your blog and seeing your social media posts, you're a very positive and uplifting person, and it seems like you really try to live in that realm of like being that positive person and trying to like, you know, uplift people.
I try to be. I mean, I have moments where I want to like vent about stuff, but I figure, what for?
Yeah. Well, that was the part two of that is, so when those things creep in, what do you do to like vent or, you know, get rid of those dark thoughts and like, you know, because everybody's got to have them. Like nobody's that person unless you're like a Labrador Retriever, you know, but
it's always smiling.
It's got to be like taxing to a certain point. So like, what do you do to...
There are times when things just don't seem to be going right, where you're having a hard day, and sometimes, you know, it can compound on each other, one on top of the other, and then I'll have a breaking point and I'll call someone, a close friend, or cry. You know, it's good to let your emotions out. I saw a master healer and he told me if I get upset, I need to go outside and hug a tree. I did that once. It didn't really work for me, but my soul really gets cleansed more so when I go in the ocean. But when it does come down to something that frustrates me, or if someone sideswipes my car, or, you know, I just try to think of the positive. Like, okay, you know, I wasn't injured. I was wearing clothing. Because I had a mastectomy, and for a while I was driving topless because the AC blowing on my... my incisions was good. And like this one time I get into a car accident, I actually had a shirt on. But I just try to think, you know, like like just focus on the positive and
You
give
saying
myself
that,
a pep talk.
it just, this thought came into my head of like playing up the insurance thing. If you were to run out and be like,
Yeah.
and be like, nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
That's pre-existing.
It was like the first day that I drove to pick up a package, and I put on a shirt, and it was a Justin Bieber shirt. But and I was like, oh, thank goodness I was wearing a shirt.
But also too bad it was a Justin Bieber shirt. How do you own a Justin Bieber
I
shirt?
love Justin Bieber.
Oh,
Well,
you're a believer?
back when
Oh.
Purpose came out. I haven't really liked him in recent years, but
Are you like young Justin Bieber?
not the like pedophile kind, you know.
Well, no,
like
but
when he was like 20 or whatever.
you can like the kid. It doesn't mean you're a pedophile.
Okay. But
We
yeah.
actually talk a lot about pedophiles on this podcast.
Oh,
so
no, okay,
fits
stop.
right in. No, you're fine. That's what I'm saying. You fit right into the whole crew of.
Oh, she mentioned it.
We
Ding,
don't like
ding.
pedophiles. Yeah, that was the word of the day, pedophile.
But yeah, I mean, there's been times when business is slow and I would apply for jobs and I wouldn't get them and I'd get declined or
Yeah.
clients would cancel or or I'd get in trouble for something or I spelt something wrong and then I'd get upset and then I just try to give myself an inner pep talk to focus on the good things, the positive things, like how lucky we are. We're blessed to be in Hawaii, or it's a dream for people to visit here. They save their whole life to be here. So I try to do that. And then I worked in news for almost a decade. And that's all like doom and gloom and destruction and murders and stabbings and rapes. So I decided to take that mic, drop it, and just live a more positive, enriching, uplifting life.
Yeah.
And so even when I had announced that I had my mastectomy in my blog, I wanted the end not to be like sad, like, oh my gosh, she removed her breasts, you know. I wanted it to be more like of an inspiring and courageous and uplifting story. So when people read it, they felt inspired afterwards and not sad, because I wasn't sad.
It definitely came off like that.
Good.
I read the blog and because I also wanted to see like how open you were with the mastectomy, and you're very open with it.
Yep.
And I think that comes along with wanting to be, I don't know if you want to say like an advocate for being a previvor, as you called it.
Yep.
And because I guess what people don't know is that you did this without preventatively.
Yep. So I did not have cancer. My aunt, my mother, and my grandmother on my maternal side all had breast cancer. I don't know my father's side because, as I said earlier, I'm a daughter to a single parent. But when my mom passed away last year from metastatic breast cancer, I had a scare where they found a lump in my breast, and I had already been on this super high risk detection plan.
Yeah.
So every 6 months I was alternating mammogram and breast MRI. But my mom had passed away, and then 1 month later I had my mammogram, and then they said, oh, we found a lump. And I was like, seriously? Like, of course when it rains it pours. And then it turned out to be nothing, or they said it was benign, and I was like, okay. And then they said, let's do genetic testing. They did the genetic testing, and they said you came back positive for a genetic mutation that's linked to breast cancer. And then I said, get him out. And my husband was like 200% supportive.
That's awesome.
So went through that whole process, visited a whole bunch of plastic surgeons, a general surgeon, and I just decided to have my breasts removed. And I didn't want reconstruction, which means I didn't want implants put in. And I just rock it with my flat chest.
Yeah. Boobs are overrated.
Yeah, well, they were really big, so everyone thought it was going to be like a mess to go from like...
Well, that was one of my questions. You kind of touched on it in the blog. Your post was that I hear a lot about women having this done, or, they have cancer and they have their mastectomy and they have their breast removed, and it's such an impact to them as women to lose their breasts, something that is so tied to being a woman.
Right.
As far, they're like milk and breastfeeding and just how society views breasts in general, that it's such a big hit physically and mentally to lose your breasts. Was it even a blip that you're like feel less of a woman or anything like that? Because in the blog it doesn't sound like that at all. You just...
Not really. To be completely honest, I did feel like a little insecure that my husband might not be attracted to me, that maybe I might look strange or not as appealing or like a boy or something, but he never faltered and nothing, it didn't change at all. He still was treating me the same.
The plane?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
You're still louder than the plane.
Okay. It's like, whoa, this is rumbling. But surprisingly, I think I'm just so strong and mentally and emotionally. When it was done and I saw that they were gone, I was like kind of surprised at how clean and not easy, but it just wasn't that hard. Like I just kind of looked and said, oh my God, like they're gone and it's okay. It's a new me. I'm still here. And then I just had this plan to try to find alternate ways. So I bought these bandeau tube top looking things with padding, and they just look really, really strange. Yeah. That I was like, there's no way I could wear this. And then I started putting on my own clothes and my own dresses, and I was like, oh, it looks fine. I just, look flat chested. And then I started to wear things with ruffles and things. And so now that's like my thing. I wear like off the shoulder with ruffles, and nobody notices. So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell. I mean, honestly, like unless you're like staring hard or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it just looks like.
Well, and then I started going to events, and I emceed the OO Awards for the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, and I was going to things at like Neiman Marcus and blah, 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 and I was seeing everybody, and nobody really knew. I only told my close friends. Yeah. So this one gentleman, he'd seen me 3 times. So I said, hey, come over here. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, you've seen me 3 times now over the past like week. He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you notice anything different about my body? And he looked me up and down, and he's like, no. And I'm like, look at my body. And I like motioned to my chest and put my hand.
The 90s body
look
roll.
At my body. Do you see anything different? And he was like, and he's a straight guy, like, And
maybe he's just a butt guy.
And I was like, I don't have any boobs. And he's like, oh, I didn't even notice. Hey. And then I would start to ask other people, and some people that knew, like my friend Sean Morris, who's a Japanese blogger and foodie, and I'm like, I'd be like, okay, so you saw me. Did you notice? And everyone said no. And I was like, well, why should I care so much if nobody even is noticing? So, yeah.
And I think that goes for most things with women too, though. It's like guys, a lot of women think certain things because they feel like other people are going to be like, oh. And then most of the time it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the news did a story on me, and I submitted all these booby photos because I thought, we're talking about removing my breasts, so why don't I give you a whole bunch of breast photos? And then this guy was messaging me like, oh my gosh, how do you still have cleavage? And I was like, I don't. And he's like, no, you do. I saw the pictures. And I was like, no, that was like before. And I was like, no, I don't have any. I don't have anything. And then I just thought, oh, this is comical now. So yeah, I'm really open about it. I was trying to evaluate where I'm going with this because, as you asked me earlier who I am, and I was like, oh, I was Miss Hawaii and I was a news anchor. Who am I now? And I was thinking that I think I want to be a speaker to share my story. And I have a couple of things scheduled where I'm going and I'm talking to employees at Hawaiian Telecom and at HMSA. So hopefully, maybe I'll find my way, through that.
That's cool. I mean, I think that you have a powerful and positive story on it, and it's not that while it started sad with, it's terrible that, it runs in your family and you've had family members die from it, that it's like something positive can come from it, and that it doesn't have to be the end. Yeah. That even you're changing in a way that you're just becoming somebody new, and then that person can be just as good as the last person, but better in some ways because you've now learned from something and you can share that and help somebody else.
I was hanging out with this uncle and he's the guy that when they have those like Keiki Grom surf contests that he does like the check-in. Yeah. So I was hanging out with him, and he was so happy to see me. He's like, oh my gosh, my wife told me to tell you hello. She read about your surgery and this and that. And then I sat there and I was talking to him, and I said, oh, Uncle, I don't know who I am. Like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be now. Like, do I hold myself to a higher standard? Am I supposed to be this like role model? And he's like, you are. He's like, just be yourself. And I was like, but I don't know who that is. And he was like, people want to see that you did something and you're very courageous and that you're still you.
Yeah.
So I was like crying, and I was telling him, oh, I guess so, huh?
That was great advice.
Yeah.
I mean, because like you are that person, and you don't have to feel like you have to live up to a certain expectation of anybody else. You just have to live your best life with what you have, and if that's inspiring to somebody else, then that's great.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way as that, like, you don't have to be like strive to be the advocate, or just like, this is my life, this is how I'm handling it in a positive way. If that can help somebody, then more power to you.
Yeah. Well, even last night was the first time I posted like a swimsuit photo. And I'm wearing like a pink. I only have 2 swimsuits now that I can wear, but I have like this pink swimsuit, and I was like, oh, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't know what to put in the caption, so I just put a pink heart. Because I really was like, I don't know what to say, So I just threw it out there.
And I think that's part of that makes it like, I think she disappeared. She left you. Melissa went wandering. So now,
Probably have to get a last one.
yeah, we're wrapping this up right now. But I'm just curious to like, do you have to wear tops anymore?
No, I don't have to. I threw all my bras away.
No, I mean like when you go to the beach and stuff. Like,
oh,
is
my
that still
husband
a
told me
thing?
he wants me to.
Oh, okay.
When I'm at
respect
home,
the
I
marriage thing.
hang out with. I'm topless all the time. So I used to be one of those naked people that likes to be naked, and so Melissa knows when we travel and if we shared a hotel room, I'd be like running around, and people always knew like if we get to a waterfall and I didn't bring a swimsuit, I'd just take off and jump in the waterfall. But I think I would definitely feel insecure if I was at a beach with my scars out and everything. And then my husband was saying that he kind of feels like, I guess that's still where my breasts
private
would
air,
be.
yeah.
So, but technically, it is not illegal to be topless in Hawaii. It's illegal to be bottomless.
Oh.
So you can
I didn't know that.
go out in public and be topless and not get
It's such a
cited.
beach thing? Or like anywhere?
I don't know. One of my friends said. But I remember when we went on that Cuba trip, I was wearing a shirt, and I didn't really know what kind of clothes to buy at that point because it was so new. But I had all this tape on my incisions, and the tape is kind of like, or the incisions are like from here down and then up, so it's kind of like a V.
Oh, okay.
And I remember being in line and these women looking at me, and like with my shirt you could see like I had like a surgery and there's tape and stuff, and I was like, oh, I feel like women look at me and they can see. And then Daniel's like, well, they probably thought you had cancer or something, So I just feel like, I don't know, I don't want to deal with like exposing people to stuff where they like assume and they get it wrong. So, anyway,
people, assuming things. All right. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. You want to talk any Instagrams or websites?
Oh, yeah. Well, so my blog is mypointofheu.com, and it's HEU, it's Chinese. And The Best Hawaii debuts every Wednesday. There's a new episode on Hawaiian Telcom, Facebook, YouTube. And yeah, you can follow along. My personal things are all Olena Heu on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I just want to show people how to be brave and how to be strong, and that you can live a positive, inspiring life, and not to focus on the negative, and just support one another and each other, and
It's good. I'm not a very positive person. I'm a realist, as I like to say, and in my way, that is me being positive. But I do have 2 young girls, and it is nice to see that we can go through hard stuff and be
I'm a
strong.
realist too,
So,
but I try to put a little rainbow spin on it.
positive rainbows. That's what I try to tell the girls, is that don't let anybody tell you you're doing something wrong if it's something you like. Just to make sure, like, because that's my biggest fear is other people's kids and them being like, you're dumb because you like that. It's like, if you like it, just like it. Don't let anybody else tell you, be strong and love who you are. And be positive with the person you are, and then you don't have to worry about anybody else.
And I think that's why I've been able to bounce back.
Yeah.
Because I felt so strong and strongly about what I've been doing my whole life. So, well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This is Mouthfuls of Madness on Instagrams, Twitter, all that good stuff, YouTube as well. Go check us out, and we'll see you next time.